ETATU started about 6 years ago in a small community called Msambweni in southern Kenya, where my family have had a connection for over 30 years. I've got to know the community very well in that time. My son, who's now 20, has got to know several boys in the village very well indeed, and grew up playing football with them year in, year out when he was visiting. And those boys came to an age where they wanted to go to school, to secondary school, and asked me if I would help them, which I did. I helped 4 of the bunch to go to secondary school, and then I lost my job and I could no longer afford to do that, so I thought I would set up a charity and ask other people to do it and pay for their schooling. And so ETATU began from there. But it now sponsors 53 children, 38 girls, and it's more closely focused on girls and boys. And it does other things apart from sponsor schooling as well. The area is dependent on fishing and farming and not much else, and there's not a lot of business opportunity. There are no hotels in the area. Most people are very poor, and education represents an avenue out of poverty and an avenue for a securer future, because with education up to the end of secondary school you can have access to loans, you can look for what work is available in Mombasa or in the tourist areas, you can help set up your business and earn money, real money, not just subsistence money. So for the community, education is key. And the community believe in education, and they believe, luckily, in education for girls as well as for boys. So there's no tension in that respect. So education is always thought of as the way out. It's the future for a child and their family. And if you can succeed at education, there's hope for the future. For me also, education, particularly for girls, has a lot of other benefits, not just for the child and their family, but also for their children in the future and for the general quality of life. Like, girls who are educated don't get married so young. 70% fewer of them die in childbirth. Their children live to a longer age, better fed, and overall the community can grow and improve if you educate people, particularly girls. The ethos behind ETATU is that we exist to help initiatives and institutions that already exist in Msambweni. That might be a government school and it might be a community initiative, because I believe that the people there have the ability to run things well and to commit to seeing that they are successful. And all they require is the funding, which they don't have, and a little bit of capacity building and training. And with those things, whatever they've set up themselves and whatever exists can be run more effectively and more efficiently and more successfully. I see ETATU as being there to support them rather than do things for the people. I did not want to go in and build a school and run a school. I did not want to go in and set something up. Sometimes I feel that that would have been the easier thing to do, because you're in charge and you can control it and direct it and manage it much more easily. But I think it's an important part of what we do is to support and help. Msambweni is a coastal location. It's characterised by fishing families, fishermen, and farming families. It tends to be quite poor. It has not benefited much from the rise in the tourist industry in Mombasa and slightly to the north of Msambweni. And historically it's very needy. Kwale province, which is where Msambweni is situated, is one of the poorest in Kenya. It's not well served by infrastructure and roads and so on, and it tends to have got marginalised, and this is shown in the standard of living of the people who live there. ETATU works quite closely with Msambweni Primary School, and when we got going in 2013, fewer than 5% of the primary school children progressed to secondary school, which is lower than the Kwale average and way lower than the Kenya national average. And in the 2018 primary school exams, a great number did well, and over 60% of the children from last year have now gone on and are in secondary school, which is a phenomenal improvement in achievement over a 6-year period. And that's because of a wide-ranging variety of initiatives that all work simultaneously, which includes sponsoring some student or young teachers who have been fantastic. It includes offering the possibility of sponsoring secondary school children who do well enough, which serves a purpose of providing an incentive and a motivation and a hope. We have also given out solar lights to all the school, and now regularly do it every year to the ones who are going to do exams in a few years. We have run a jigger clinic, which means that children do not miss out on schooling because of painful jiggers in their feet. We give out sanitary towels to the older girls so they also don't miss out on school. We give out backpacks filled with school supplies to all the children. And all of these things together, I think, have created a much more effective and productive school. But overall, I think it's because of the possibility that there is further schooling past primary school that has really motivated the teachers to work harder and the children to work harder and families to believe in education. And it's transformed this school in a relatively short period of time with relatively small financial input, really. It's really all about providing hope and motivation. Secondary education in Kenya is not free. Families have to pay for fees, families have to pay for uniform and books and everything associated with school. Boarding school in particular is expensive because they have to pay for the food and they have to buy a very large number of items to take with them to school. So boarding school at secondary level is very, very expensive. And until last year, 2018, all secondary schools in the area of Msambweni were boarding schools. So you either went to boarding school or you didn't go to school at all. Very, very few families could afford it. And ETATU was able to offer help to the neediest families and to the children who had done well at their primary exams and were therefore eligible to go to secondary school. And we now support 53 children in schools, 38 girls and 15 boys. So altogether, we have sponsored 98 children. So we're waiting for our 100th, which should happen next year, which will be exciting. We're lucky enough to have a very, very good school nearby, King Wedi, and we have 20 girls who we sponsor there. It's a school everyone wants to go to if they do well enough to do so. It's somewhere which, if you work hard, you can progress to further education, including university from. So it's seen as the possible route to even better things. And it's a lovely school. It's got a lovely environment, it's got dedicated head, very serious teachers, wide curriculum, quite a lot of good extracurricular activities. It's a really, really good school. We had 11 girls finished there last year, and 7 of those 11 did well enough to progress to higher education, and 2 are heading off to university this year. So that is brilliant. Supporting girls is important for a wide range of reasons, but in communities such as Msambweni, if families have limited funds, they will provide for their boys' education first. That's just the way it is. If they had the money, they would be very happy to send their girl as well. But girls often get left behind or get left out because families just don't have the money to be able to afford to send them. So some able girls often get overlooked. So ETATU is in a position to seek those girls out and help those families and get those girls to school. Educating girls has wide-ranging benefits for a community and eventually for whole countries, in that they are the single most important factor to reducing hunger and reducing poverty. If a girl has been to secondary school, they're over 90% more likely to be able to get work than if they've left school after primary school. So that's an obvious advantage. And then once a woman is in work, they spend more of their income on their family and on feeding their family than men do. That's statistically proven. If a woman has been to secondary school, has a child, then that child is more likely to live past the age of 5 than if the mother has only been to primary school. So there are a number of benefits to educating girls that go far beyond just her future and her life. One of the main criteria for ETATU sponsorship is that the child is being raised by a woman living on her own and raising a family on her own. And Baina is an example of that. Her mother, Salama, has 3 children. Her husband left her a long time ago when they were children very young, has not supported them at all since then. Salama has gone to Saudi Arabia in the past and worked there, leaving her 3 children in the care of her sister, and she managed to raise enough money to build half a house. But she has said that she really does not want to repeat that experience and would prefer to stay with her children and do all she can to try and raise them and send Baina to a good school. She can't possibly afford to send Baina to a good school on her own, so ETATU are helping her to do that. Zabibu's mother, again, was left by her husband when her 2 daughters, Zabibu has a sister, so her mother has 2 daughters, were very young, her husband left. Zabibu's sister is slightly disabled as well, which makes life more difficult. They live in a very, very small, simple house, mud walls, makuti roof, 1 room. Fantastically supportive family, wonderful parents. So Zabibu's grandparents are lovely, but they don't have money. And Zabibu was in fact the highest achieving girl in her primary school and was just destined to sit at home and help her mother and cart water and everything until she got married. But luckily found out about her and were able to offer her a place at King Wedi. Rahema is the 6th of 7 daughters of her parents. The parents just have 7 children, all of whom are girls. And of the 7 girls, 3 have been to secondary school, and Rahema is the one who's done the best. She's actually done well enough to go to university. I just think it's brilliant that Rahema's going to university, and she's one of the 2 girls who did well enough from King Wedi last year to go to university, and that is fantastic. So she's the first from her family, she's the first from the ETATU sponsored children, and it's just brilliant. I'm delighted. I was overjoyed when I heard the news. I was waiting for the results. And to get 2 to university from those group, there were 11 who finished at King Wedi last year. 7 of them are going to college, 2 are going to university. I mean, that's an amazing ratio of success, really. I'm just delighted. The Banda is a meeting place and a library, and we were asked by the community if we would build somewhere that could serve as a community meeting place. So we obliged and we built a Banda, and it's used as a meeting place by community groups. It's used 5 days a week by women's self-help groups, by credit groups, by the Fishermen's Beach Management Unit. A whole number of groups use it to meet and for training purposes. It's also a library. Anyone can come and read a book or a magazine from it and sit in the Banda while they're reading it. And secondary school students, not only those whom we sponsor, but other secondary school students are able to borrow books from it during term time. They take the books back to school and return them in the holidays. We also run quite packed holiday programs from the Banda in the holidays for our sponsored students. That might be extra lessons or study groups or workshops of various kinds. And so the Banda has become quite a busy, needed place over the last 5 years. As far back as 2004, a group of young, mainly teenaged youth of Msambweni set up an orphans feeding scheme They were worried about the number of HIV orphans in the village and wanted them to have a place to go once a week where they could play and get a really, really good, solid meal. So this group, there were about 20 teenagers who were concerned in this way, but they themselves were poor and they didn't have very much money to run it, and they had no plot or space to run it from, so they would move around the village and each Sunday would be in a different place, and it didn't really work very well. And then my mother got involved and bought a piece of land for them to have as a permanent place they could run their feeding program. And these teenagers grew up, and a lot of them don't live in the area anymore or have got jobs and families themselves, so they can't really run it. But it was a fantastic thing, and ETATU took over the funding of it. ETATU's involvement now is more than just funding the Sunday feeding. We make sure that all the children go to school and provide them with their uniforms. We give them medical checks, eye tests, and we provide them with a whole range of things that they might need to ensure that they can go smoothly to school. None of this would be possible without a fantastic team in Kenya. All the people who run everything in Msambweni are part-time. We've got Alfan at the banda, Bakari generally overseeing a whole number of things and coordinating events and activities, Halima in charge of MOP, and then with her helpers, Masika, Asia, Kasim, Salim. We've got Mr. Malonda, Mr. Zengo, the sponsored teachers at the school, and then all the people at the school we work with, Mr. Masemo and the head teacher. A vast, enormous number of people in the UK and elsewhere in the world who I have to be eternally grateful for all their support, whether that's financial or as volunteers. ETATU has really appreciated the work of volunteers who have come out to help. We've had people who have come to help in the school as teachers or activity organisers. We've had students who come and do work that's related to their university course, but which also benefits ETATU. There was one such student who set up the jigger treatment programme, for instance. We've had an educational psychologist who's run workshops in the primary school and has also visited Mililani Special School and given us some advice about what to do there that might be of help. We welcome generalist volunteers, we welcome specialist volunteers, and we're always very, very grateful to them for what they offer and what they've done for us. ETATU has a very special place in my life because Msambweni has such a special place in my life. I have derived such pleasure from the community and the beautiful beach and the very warm-hearted people I've got to know and that I work with. And it's my chance really to put something back into a place that has given me so much. And I would like to continue to do that and to help the community make a place for itself in the world where it is less of a struggle for everybody. What's been striking over the last few years is how small interventions can create massive aspiration and incredible hope. Education is an avenue and it's provided hope to many. If they can work harder, they will possibly go on to do greater things, whether it's work or further study. And ETATU provided the opportunity for small numbers of people. In the beginning it was only 10. We offered 10 people the chance to go to secondary school, and the whole of the year seemed to work hard and they thought that place was theirs. And in fact, although ETATU did only sponsor 10, they did well enough that they attracted the attention of other people, or their families were prepared to help them, and overall large numbers of children are now going to secondary school. What has struck me is the power of hope and the power of aspiration, and you provide people with something to work towards and something to hope for, and that can be transformative.